Welcome back to How to Plan Your Solo Exhibition, the mini series. I am Jessica Bethel, photographer, curator, and all the things. And I'm here with Stephanie, who is interdisciplinary artist based
Yeah,
in
it's a mouthful.
Atlanta. Huh?
I said, yeah, it's a mouthful.
Yeah, it is. Today, we're going to talk about critique and why it's so important to get feedback about your work and the process and the art behind critiquing. So, I guess to kick it off, when it comes to looking at your work and getting feedback about your work, to make sure to ensure that the work that you're putting up does align with who you are and where the pathway that you've explained that you wanted to go is for sure great. No, sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
No, you're fine. Hold on. Phil just texted me and I was like trying to do both things. You're fine.
It's
I'm
okay.
gonna pause.
Interdisciplinary.
Interdisciplinary. It's also okay if you just say photographer and installation artist. That's fine too. But
Photographer and installation.
whatever your tongue feels to. All
right. The clap is going to kill me every time. Oh man, welcome back. Welcome back, guys, to How to Plan Your Solo Exhibition, a mini series. And I'm joined here today with Stephanie Brown, interdisciplinary artist, and myself, Jessica Bethel, artist, photographer, curator, all the things. And we're going to talk about getting feedback and why critique is so necessary. And I think just off the dome, critique is so necessary just so you can get better as an artist. Sometimes when we view our work, we're always looking at it. We're always thinking, oh, this might not be good. This might be bad. Or it might be super good in your eyes, but you're missing something. You're missing maybe some pieces to what you're trying to convey. And having somebody else look at the work may be very essential. So I want to hear your thoughts, Stephanie. How do you feel about critique?
You know, the first thing that came to mind where I was like, I'm not going to tell people what to do. I'm just going to strongly advise you engage in critique.
Yeah.
Engage in critique. Find a way to continue to engage in critique. I understand not everybody's coming from an academic background, which is why I said I'm not going to tell you what to do because this is a pedestal that anyone that's gone through an academic art program doesn't need. Like, they get it. You know? They get it because they're a product of the critique session class, and they know that it's worth it. They know that it's necessary. They know that those left field comments from that person in the classroom that don't know, one color from the next, or have never seen someone who looked like you and have some wild, crazy comments. Honestly, sometimes the wilder, the better.
Yeah.
But all of those things, it makes you a stronger artist over time. I can't tell you, there's no body of work that I have created that did not go through some form of critique. And what happens is that when you leave an academic program, now it's on you to find your new circle. Where are your new individuals coming from that are going to give you a solid critique? And let's also be clear, like, what is a solid critique, right? Like, we're talking constructive criticism. Not, oh, well, I wish that the walls were pink, or like, oh, that's a cool, texture choice that you made, or, this makes me think of something crazy, like, no, constructive criticism, someone's that is going to also ask you really thought-provoking questions about the choices that you made. And really, all of those questions help ensure that you were intentional. And it's okay to have serendipitous moments. It's also okay for some elements of your art, if not all of it, to be very intuitive. The thing is that all of that can be described. all of
Yes.
that can be explained and all of that can be validated. I can very intentionally make intuitive artwork, right?
Mhm.
The critique is going to get you used to responding to questions. And it also really just prepares you for your work being in the real world.
Yes.
Because when you create in a silo and in a bubble, then you present it and you show it. If you feel disconnect or, like nobody understands it,
Mhm.
or everybody understands it, like
Mhm.
there's not a trophy or reward for that, right? Because hopefully, again, I can't tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Emphasis.
you're making this work intentionally. Hopefully, you're making this artwork for a reason. Hopefully, you're making
Mhm.
it with particular goals and desires and things in mind. And you want for people to connect with that. You want
Mhm.
for, your work doesn't have to be for everybody, but for who it is for, is the space of where you're really looking and leaning into that. So when
Yeah.
I've got a body of work of Black women, I'm
Mhm.
happy to hear what everyone has to say about it.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm even more excited to hear from Black women
Mhm.
because that's who I had in mind when specifically making that work,
Yeah.
Uh, so critique's essential for that reason. It just prepares you for those conversations, and sometimes we have to make our own critique circles. That's the
Yeah.
big takeaway there.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think when you leave an academic setting, and if you're not in one, like we said, we're not trying to tell you what to do, but hey, but I think for me, when I was in an academic setting and in critique sessions of like constructive criticism, people telling me, hey, maybe technically, maybe you could do something a bit different, or this is what it's conveying to me, right? And it's like a target group or a test group of how people will see your work in the world in a sense. And it's very helpful to go back and say, okay, I took this criticism and I went out into the world and I recreated or I adjusted certain things and came back and my work is much better. I can
Right.
speak to the work better. I can, I
It's
can touch
stronger.
it. It's stronger overall. You're just getting better. And I think there's nothing really wrong because I know people, I think what has shifted the lens of critique and peer feedback is how strongly social media plays a role into that. I
Yeah.
think a lot of times people are creating for social media and not for themselves and not necessarily being in community with people because like the community aspect of social media is virtually there, right? Like we're all having a conversation, you guys are commenting, you guys are interacting with us, but at the same time being in person community with people is very helpful for you as an artist to grow, from peer reviews to just getting inspiration, just talking things through with people is very essential. And one thing I wanted to comment on when you touched on the point of talking about your work, it does help to talk about your work. Like you can really explain your work even better because you have these touch points. You now know the journey that you went through to make the work better. Or even if you drop the project, you can articulate why maybe the project just didn't work out, right? Um, and I think and it's not as scary as it seems. I think that's also the scary part is like, you're gonna see my pictures and you're gonna tear it to shreds. No, that's not how things are supposed to go. I told Steph one time I did get torn to shreds by a professor, but he was going through something and that wasn't me. Again, you have to acknowledge what sometimes people project, right?
It's a grain of salt, which is why, like I
Mhm.
said at the start, you'll get those left field comments from people
Mhm.
sometimes, and that's not constructive criticism, right? But
Yeah.
even those left field comments do prepare you for the real
Mhm.
world because it's just going to happen sometimes.
Yep.
And
Yep.
honestly, I feel like critique allows you to grow some thicker skin. And it's almost like defense,
Mhm.
in some spaces you might feel like you want to defend the work or be able to respond. And in other spaces, you don't want to say a word. And
Yeah.
I've done both, you know.
Yeah.
I know that when I need to, I know how to defend my work. I know how to talk about it because I know that I was intentional in everything that I was creating. And in
Mhm.
other spaces, I can hear some commentary and I'll just sit back and be like, hmm,
Interesting.
that's
Yeah.
an interesting thought.
Same.
Okay. Like, we don't need to have a back and forth because maybe I don't feel the need to like
Mhm.
defend with this person,
Yeah.
right? Or this individual, and that's fine.
Mhm.
It's also a privilege to be an artist and have someone else just explain your work for you. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, I know that that is a stage that people can arrive to once they have agents, galleries that represent them. That's
Mhm.
great. And that's such a small percentage
Very
of
small.
working and exhibiting artists in this
Mhm.
world, and especially artists who look like us. I
Mhm.
love to hear curators and other art professionals talk about my work. It is beautiful. It warms my heart. It's so nice to feel seen and acknowledged and know that someone intimately got to know not just me, but my artwork so much
Mhm.
so that they can talk about it on my behalf. And that's
Mhm.
such a great opportunity and situation to be in, but it's rare. And
Yeah.
what's most important is that no one's going to be the best advocate for your work but you. So if you are looking to sell your artwork, guess what? That collector wants to have a relationship with you. That collector wants to know the ins and outs and the background of this piece before they, maybe make a decision as to whether or not they want to buy it. The conversation they have with you about that piece might be the deciding factor that makes them
Mhm.
actually cut the check, you
Yep.
know? So you can only hide behind your art for so long. And honestly, I feel like the confidence to talk about your work comes from critique. So
Mhm.
circle moment there. You
Yeah.
need the critique. Critique is essential because it's practice for you to talk about your work. It's practice for you to engage with questions because best believe a question that somebody has or that comes up in critique will probably come up again in the real world. And again, as just said, you take that information from critique and you workshop it. Critique reminds us that art is iterative.
Mhm.
You know, sure, someone can say that, oh, I made this piece and I'm done. And that's a choice that an artist can make. And
Mhm.
for a lot of artists, you're just seeing one iteration of this art piece, and I'm going to go back and workshop it, or it's going to continue to evolve, or in different locations, it becomes different things. And that's cool too. But it's
Mhm.
intentional, right? And you're creating in a space where you're giving yourself the grace for things to grow and evolve. Pro tip, I think depending on the type of artwork that you're making determines the group that you kind of surround yourself
Yeah.
with getting feedback on it.
Yeah.
So for this exhibit that we're working on, Light and Love, it is a strictly photo exhibition. And for that reason, I've gotten critique from Jess, of course, she's a curator. And then I have my other fan favorites that I go to that are in the photo world who are also photographers that I know that I can get feedback from. And at this point in my career, there are people who know my work. And I think that's really important because they can also speak to the evolution of, okay, you were doing this and now you're
Mhm.
doing that. And this is why that's interesting. I see what you did here. You can't necessarily get that from someone who's not familiar with your work.
Mhm.
I think it's nice to have a little bit of both, someone that knows your past work, someone that maybe is not familiar, but someone who really knows the medium that you're working in,
Mhm.
opposed to when I do like my installation work or more sculptural type of things that have more maybe history or other conceptual themes or topics. I actually like to bring in subject matter experts around
Mhm.
that artwork so that as I'm explaining, okay, so I'm using this to symbolize that. And, I can have them speak to me not from an artistic point of view, but kind of fact checking me,
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, I see you're using this as a metaphor, but actually that's not how it works in real life. And then I can make that decision. Do I care about how it actually works in real life? And do I
Mhm.
want to make that change because it's important to me to be factual? Or do I want to play on that because maybe that's a play on the perspective that I'm hoping to shift for people, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Again, all of this is about being intentional in your making and surrounding yourself with voices that can inform. Your critics are not telling you what to do. A good critique is posing questions and proposing thoughts that will allow you to now ask yourself, why did I do that? Do I want to continue to do that?
Mm-hmm.
How the work is making this person feel or what they're getting from it so far. Am I happy with the conclusions that they're coming to?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not, what do I need to shift in the work? You know, if I took a photo and I want you to feel scared when you see it, and you
Yeah.
look at that photo and you're just like, oh girl, this makes me feel like warm and fuzzy inside. Like, I
That
did
is
something
not the
wrong.
goal. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
need to go back and workshop
Mhm.
that because
Mhm.
it's not giving the energy and the vibe that I wanted it to.
Yes.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
know that without critique because I
Yeah.
can think one thing. And again, this is what happens when we work in silos and when we're just seeing it all the time for ourselves. We can kind
Mhm.
of talk ourselves into anything.
Yeah.
So critique can kind of like bring us back down to earth and ground us in some other thoughts and opinions and just challenge us, but challenge us to make us better.
Yeah. I think it's just propelling you to do better and be a better artist. It's nothing to be scared of. It's nothing to feel bad about. If anything, you should feel good that you're asking peers for advice and feedback on your work because it shows that you intentionally really want to get better as an artist.
Yeah.
Like that's how you get better. Like Steph said, she has a group of people. I also have a group of people that I have help me critique the work or like, hey, should I put this photo in? Should I keep this photo out? Does it convey this? Does this body of work look good?
Right.
It's just very helpful in the end, and it's not going to do anything but make you just better in the end, honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
So both challenges and affirms at the end of
Hmm.
the day, critique is essential.
Yes.
So let us know in the comments below. Who are your go-to people? Tag them,
Hmm.
shout them out. Who are the
Yeah.
people that you call on to look at your work?